fuck me, dude. This has to be one of the most entertaining ESL Pro Leagues, period. I can't think of another one that really delivered in this way, at least in recent memory. And I'm saying that even though I'm pretty bitter that Faze did go on to lose today. The entertaining Counter-Strike that happened during that series was worth every penny in my opinion. We capped off the semifinals today, and we have a grand final slated for tomorrow between Vitality and Falcons, which means Faze and MOUZ did indeed fall short, and they do have a date against each other in the third place decider also tomorrow. The Faze vs Vitality series is an instant classic. You need to go watch it if you haven't already. The MOUZ vs Falcons series is utterly forgettable. I'm exhausted. Let's try and keep this under 30 minutes. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do that. If you guys like this content, do me a solid. Leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Help me get 10k subs by the end of the year. And lastly, before we get started, I'd like to thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Skins Monkey, a CS2 trading website. You put in the skins that you want to trade, you select what you want, you use my code LionHeartZ for up to $5 off, or click the top link in the description, and boom, new drip.
Nice.
You can also use my code for a 35% deposit bonus if you want to buy with real money. And they have a free section with cool giveaways. So check the top link in the description, use my code to buy 15 Dragon Lores to let them know I sent you their way, and thank you to Skins Monkey for sponsoring this video. Well, I feel pretty vindicated about my whinging about MOUZ, as I feel like we saw exactly the type of limitations they show in big game matches today. On one hand, the first map on Inferno was incredibly close, but they fell apart in overtime to an absolutely unbelievable late game performance from MOUZ. Then on Ancient, it was an ugly loss, with Zershin and Spinks going absolutely missing on yet another titular terrible T-side, leaving Falcons with an open invite for tomorrow's grand finals. Of course, it didn't start out that way. MOUZ's CT side went off to an incredibly hot start, holding Falcons to 0 rounds through the first 6. Sorry, don't know what just happened to my voice. I had to take a sip of water. We're back. Anyways, there were a lot of really good B defenses here, a lot of good denial of the rotates late A. Zershin was doing really well in the banana fights. Kioske and Nico were getting denied their early aggression. Overall, things were pumping. It looked like maybe we were at the start of a Falcons throw. The first round for the Falcons T-side came off the back of a really chaotic late A hit. Torgia got in the opening pick a little bit before in the round. The Falcons were in a 4v5, pushing into the A stack, with Jimmy and Brolin doubled up in the pits and another player towards our side. However, Tessas and Kickshead combined for the trades in front of apartments to get them access into the bomb site. Zershin made a real good play to sneak through the moto smoke and get into sight, getting a pick back after the bomb goes down, but he jumped up into Graveyard straight into Tessas, who really smartly hopped on the barrel in the back of pit to cut him off, leaving Torgi in a 1v2, which he just opts for the save. Had MOUZ won here, I think there's a very fair argument they would have ran away with the rest of this half, but a flip switch for the Falcons. They really knuckled down and got the rest of the half in their favor, keeping things at a 6-6 scoreline going into the second half on their CT side. Now, this wasn't the worst T-side for MOUZ overall, as they managed to keep this game very competitive and eventually push it into overtime, but there's a worrying trend here before we even get to Ancient, and it's that Zershin and Torzi are not off to a hot start in this game. Zershin had 0 opening kills, he had 0 opening deaths either. It was Brolin doing the bulk of the entry work, and honestly so were Spinks and Jimmy. It was really off the back of those 3 guys that MOUZ kept this afloat. But really all of this brings us to the star of the show, and that's MOUZ. MOUZ is responsible for all 4 of the round wins for Falcons in overtime. I want to give some special attention to that because this was like a throwback to vintage hard carry MOUZ, some real flash type shit. In the first round of overtime, it comes down to a 30-second late A push from MOUZ. MOUZ on the front of the A side goes to work with a great opening shot on Brolin, falling back into sight. He gets 2 more quick shots on Spinks and Zershin before going down, leaving the remaining MOUZ players in a 2v3. But Nico's right behind MOUZ coming through Moto for a quick cleanup. In the next round, it's more or less the same scenario, but this time MOUZ actually managed to make it work. There's an opening pick from Brolin onto Nico, then similarly things slow down for about a minute until it comes down to the late A hit. This time, Kioske does really well to get a double kill before going down, and Tessas on the last stand manages to take a pick and get traded out, leaving MOUZ on the late rotated from B into a 1v2 clutch. He scope walks through Arch, considers picking up an AK, but decides to trust the boomstick, takes his swing around the corner looking towards pit, just barely sees the tracer from Zershin, and hits a snap flick through the crack of the pit wall onto Zershin, which is already an insane shot. but he instantly drops a smoke in a flash and starts ducking around to spot out Torji. He gets into this hectic exchange after he jump spots him on the edge of the smoke, takes his first shot, misses, repositions around the smoke to the other side, and catches Torji looking towards Bodo instead of more down towards Graveyard, getting the second pick and the clutch defuse, and yet another round win for Falcons. MOUZ snagged the last of their T rounds before we switch sides, and MOUZ goes right back to work on the T side. This time, it's from a 3v4 disadvantage situation where Falcons are battling back to find match point. They lost the banana fight, they don't have much of a presence towards A, and MOUZ are able to reposition and restack however they want. The Falcons group up, try to make their way up banana once the smokes have cleared. They meticulously take space up onto the bomb site, smoke CT, molly off church, molly off backside. They get the bomb down and suss out Spinks out of dark, cutting it down to a 3v3 post-plant situation. MOUZ unfortunately get blocked out of the bomb site for most of the bomb timer. Even with a full kitty utility on the back of Torji, they are forced to wait out the smokes before they can even make their move. Eventually, the utilities coming in, they push Munisi out of new box with a molly and a flash, but the timing just isn't in their favor, as the push through from Jimmy is just a second late from catching Munisi wide in the open. Munisi hits the first shot on the Jimmy as both Testis and Kixon go down to Brolin from Church. Munisi takes the reswing onto Torji and finds his second shot and just barely misses onto Brolin, but there's not enough time for the defuse, meaning Munisi gets a 1v3 clutch to put them on match point. And then to cap off this overtime carry, Munisi gets a 4K in the final round of play, including 2 opening picks to blow up in the A site, as well as getting the final 2 on the rotating B site players through mid. Just an absolutely insane performance from Munisi. Kyosuke himself didn't have that great of a game, but Munisi stepped up, he took his space, he dominated just like you would expect him to be. It really does feel like Munisi is getting back to the form that he should be, as at worst the 3rd best player in the world. As for our second map, Ancient, this was boring. It was 13-7 in the favor of Falcons. It was a 7-5 first half when, MOUZ were on their more competitive CT side, but this T side was wretched. Zershin had zero fucking kills in the second half of play. 0 for 4 on entries, obviously. Spinks went 1 for 8 as well. The only bit of success they could have found was off the back of Brolin, Jimmy, and Torji. But otherwise, I feel completely vindicated about my point that I don't trust MOUZ on T-sides in big games because, well, of this. This team is just cursed. They are good enough to always make the semifinals in every tournament they play damn near, but they are not good enough to win anything if any of the other actually good teams compete in the same event. It's so odd because I don't think you can make any logical move right now that makes MOUZ appreciably better. They're just going to be this. They are going to be the bridesmaids. That's all they are going to be for this era of Counter-Strike. And that is a weird spot to be in a roster because you guys are undoubtedly successful. You guys are undoubtedly good. You are better than 99.9% of everybody else. You're just a step behind the few people you need to beat to be the very best. It's weird, man. And going into tomorrow, we have yet another Vitality versus Falcons best of 5. Falcons have never won this matchup in best of 5s, but this isn't the same Vitality as last time, and this isn't the same Falcons as last time. I hope, if nothing else, I don't really care if Falcons win or lose. I want them to be competitive for the entire series, and I would consider that a win. If they win the whole thing, that'd be great. If they get blown out, I'd be disappointed. Ooh, okay. Faze versus Vitality. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm tired from watching that series. That was an emotionally, physically exhausting match of Counter-Strike. There was a little bit of everything good and bad from Faze and Vitality in this performance. But if I want to kind of step away from my own Faze bias for a second, it was an absolutely electric series. Incredibly entertaining. And as usual, when we have these kinds of matches that stand out as maybe like match of the year contenders, it's a tough job for me to sit down and break it down because there's no way I can adequately go through this game. The Mirage game has legitimately 30 rounds I could probably do in-depth breakdowns on, and we could be here for 2 hours. Like, there's so much to chew on in terms of this game. There were highs and lows, mistakes from Faze, redemptions from Faze, moments where Vitality looked rattled, moments where Zyro was just unbelievable, moments where Apex wanted to end the game, Mezzi coming through with great clutches too. Like, there was a little bit of everything. And I usually I record the rounds first, then sit down to do my commentary, but I'm doing it backwards today because I'm just gonna kind of jump around. I'm just gonna like kind of freely throw my thoughts out here about this series because again, go watch it. Just stop what you're doing. If you haven't watched it, go watch the highlights. You know it's a good game when the casters are in disbelief. Mirage started out hectic as Faze and Vitality would go back and forth, with Faze losing pistols, then winning the force buy, but unable to win the anti-eco afterwards as Vitality won their own force buy, but then Faze would rebuy pistols and win the round again, and we went back and forth until we got to the 6th round where Zyro finally got the op in his hands and Vitality shut things down. They kept Faze to just those 3 round wins for the entirety of the first half. And as Vitality stacked up these rounds and totally shut down the Faze T side, I thought we were heading towards just Faze getting gently brushed out of the server. This was going to be a 2-0. Today was going to be a much shorter video. There was not going to be much to say. The dead roster buff had run out. And that felt even more compounded when Faze lost the pistol round, lost their force buy, and found themselves staring down the abyss of a 3-11 scoreline against Vitality. Again, a Vitality roster, let me remind you, even though they haven't won anything in a while, is maybe the best T side in the history of Counter-Strike. At that point, the game should just be over. Even as Faze win a couple of CT rounds, Twist has some good moments around Connector. He's playing a good game so far. Frozen's starting to come to life. They're getting the econ solidified. They've broken down on Vitality's side once. Whatever, you're still just so many rounds back from this game being somewhat close. And then you don't even get 4 rounds into your comeback before Vitality gets match point. So now Vitality has 5 chances to end this map. Sorry, I get animated when I'm doing these commentaries. I was hitting my desk, and I'm an idiot because obviously you can hear that in the microphone, but I'm leaving the taken. I don't care. Anyways, Vitality have 5 chances to end the game now, so it should just be over. I'm sitting here, you know, I just ordered a breakfast burrito. I was enjoying my breakfast. I was kind of, you know, looking at the game on my side monitor, checking shit on my main monitor, thinking about what I need to record for the Falcons game. You know, eat my breakfast. I play a little bit of Battlefield 6 because I'm lazy. I'm talking with people in my Discord, trying to organize viewer games for tonight. I look back over at the Faze game because I kind of like zoned out for, you know, 4 or 5 rounds. And all of a sudden, Faze are trying to force it to overtime. It's 11-12 out of nowhere. It's like, what? What? You mean this is happening? And in the overtime, there were just so many points where Vitality should have just won. I think in total, once the game was done, they had 9 different rounds where they had match point and just needed to win one to convert. And Faze fended them off every single time out of pure heroics. Faze were playing from behind. Faze's first lead of the match was the first round of the second overtime, and then Vitality swiftly won 3 straight rounds right after. Zyro was inhuman at several points. There's 2 rounds at the end, I think, of the second overtime where Apex gets back-to-back triple kills that felt like he was just ready to shut it down. Like, this game is over. I'm going to end it myself. We're going home. And then Twist. Oh my god, Twist was so incredible in this game. Somehow, Zyro was playing out of his mind, and Twist was still the best player in the server. Twist ended the game with 45 kills and 25 deaths, 102 ADR, a 1.86 rating. Over the course of 3 fucking overtimes, Twist still ended with 1.07 kills per round. Do you understand how hard it is for a game to go that long and for you to average over a kill per round? I'm not fucking with you here. That is donk shit. That is shit that only Donk has been able to produce as a rifler consistently. Like, I feel so vindicated by the fact that Twist should never have ever been an IGL. Because look at this dude. Look at how good he can be when he's with an IGL who knows how to utilize himself. When he's in a system that is built around him as a secondary caller. Like, Liquid could have had this for over a year. Twist could have been doing this for over a year, dude. It just boggles my mind that he put that limiter on himself to be the IGL when he's still this close to his prime. There were multiple electric 3 and 4K rounds from Twist in this overtime. He had 14 fucking multi-kill rounds. And Twist maintained this throughout the next 2 maps. Even though Faze lose, he still was the top performer. He ended this series with, I think, close to 90 total kills. Hold on, what was his final stat line? Yeah, he was 83 for 52 with a 161 rating. He straight up beat Zyro in a series they lost. Like, I know for a fact, because I was looking at it after Mirage ended, that Twist has had a lot of better performances stats-wise. This is not his best rating ever. He's definitely had better, like, total kill games. It's not his highest kill game ever. Not by a wide margin, I'm pretty sure, actually. But I would argue that in terms of impact, where he's at in his career, the enemy he is facing, this is probably the best single map I have ever seen Twist play. Like, that's definitely some hindsight bias, and I'm willing to hear arguments. If you can find me another map in terms of raw impact and quality of opponent that's better, I'd be really interested to see that. If you're someone who is just really good at browsing HLTV and you could find that, you just let me know. Point me towards that. I would really, really like to see that. But just off knee-jerk reaction, that has to be a top 5 map that he has ever played in his entire career. And I know people are going to like hyper focus on Kerrigan's stats because obviously he doesn't have a good stat line. But I don't know, man. I just gotta wonder how many people are actually watching the games because, yeah, Kerrigan's stats were shit, but he still had multiple like impact moments in the overtime. Like, he had a couple of really important multi-kills on bomb site defense on the CT side. Like, he still has pockets of impact, and his calling was really, really good throughout the entire thing. There was one ugly round in the overtime, I can't remember if it was in the first or the second, where Faze were on the T side, and they tried to do this late rotate into a late B hit, and both the top connector and the window smoke missed. But the strat on paper was good, they just fucked up the smoke throws, you know? So like, I don't know. Obviously, I'm a Kerrigan defender, so I'm going to find a way to justify this as not being a big deal. But I struggle to see how Kerrigan is at fault here for this series when he still had moments of contributing in terms of individual impact, and then the calling was really good outside of one pocket on Inferno, which we'll talk about in just a moment. It's like, really, the big thing was Rain really struggled, and Rain has struggled this whole tournament, but Rain's also not supposed to be here, so like, I can't really hold that against him either. But Brokey was good on this first map, more on him in just a minute. Frozen was great too, and then Twist was just on another plane of existence. And FaZe win this first map and put Vitality on the back ropes. And it is insane to me how resilient Vitality are that they only got better for the rest of the series. This was the worst map they played. Like, Vitality, they walked back out after this bone-crushing slog of marathon map 1 loss. And they were easily the more dominant team for the rest of the series. It honestly wasn't particularly close. And if you're Falcons, I'd be shitting myself because that Vitality T side on Inferno, that second half, that was first half of 2025 Vitality. That was the era Vitality. That was, there is no weak links. Every single player will march you down. We don't care what you throw at us, what utility you use, where you put your best players. We're taking these bomb sites and we're winning every fucking round. Outside of FaZe winning the pistol round and converting their force buy thereafter, once Vitality got the gun in their hands, they clean swept the second half. They absolutely blanked FaZe. Now, that aside, there's definitely something to be criticized here, and that was FaZe's economic approach in the second half, because I think they just simply played it too aggressive. I understand what Kerrigan was going for here. I think it's just the wrong team to attempt it against, and I think it put them in a position where they allowed Vitality to generate too much momentum and too much economy to ever threaten a break for the rest of the half because of this. Because after Vitality win that first gun round on the third round of the half, you're at a weird impasse if you're the CT. Because it's your first loss of the half, you have no built-up economy or loss bonus. You don't have enough to really full buy back into this round, but you also don't have enough with your loss bonus to go ahead and just opt for a single save. So most teams will force after their first loss of the half. It just makes sense. That first force, totally okay. However, the round gets blown up by Vitality, and FaZe bring over, I believe, just a FAMAS and an MP9 into the next round. The problem there is they decide to buy down again to play around just these two weak guns. And that one, I don't agree with whatsoever, because at this point, before Vitality go on to win this round, it's a 9-7 score line. So if you just taken a save here, you'd still have a 1-round lead, and you get to your true full buy. Instead, because they force it down again, they give Vitality a 9-8 scoreline into an obligate force save from FaZe, allowing Vitality to tie the game and build their economy further. With how good Vitality are and how little mistakes they give up, this is just too aggressive. Against a team like Falcons, MOUZ, Spirit even, I understand the vision, because if you can get some of those key kills and rattle them, you can win that round. But Vitality so rarely give up these kinds of losses that I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. And you still have a lead to work with. You could have just saved and actually had a chance to defend your lead, maybe keep the score at 10-8 or 10-9 at worst. Instead, you gave 3 very easy rounds over to Vitality, allowed them to build that economy, and more importantly, build that confidence. That all ended up being too much. There's a real possibility that FaZe could have ended this series in 2 games had they given themselves better opportunities on Inferno. They were still matched up individually very well, but the mistakes that were getting punished on the first map Mirage, Vitality were not allowing to be punished in the same way. And then for Dust 2, oh, god damn it, man. Alright, fine, I'm gonna be mean about it. I think fucking Brokey lost FaZe this game, and I really don't see an argument for anything otherwise. I will preface that with Brokey has been light years better since coming back to FaZe than when he was first benched before the Austin Major. I think he's legitimately improved his game and been a net positive asset for FaZe in every tournament he's played, including this one, including most of this series, but this was just a throwback bad Brokey performance, especially on the CT side, man. There were multiple rounds. Probably the one that sticks out the most is when he's on the A site with the op, defending the long push, and he misses like 3 or 4 shots. Super bad misses, jumping on top of the site box to take another ridiculous shot that he shouldn't be going for. Like, that is Brokey's playstyle. He's going to take low percentage, insane fucking shots, and if he hits them, he's amazing, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's back. And if he misses them, Brokey is a terrorist. That is quintessential Brokey Counter-Strike. I understand it, I accept it for what it is, but it's frustrating because if he had just played a little more safe, FaZe could have had more opportunities in this game, and this could have been a closer affair, but it wasn't, and I feel like there's just, there's room where FaZe could have dominated this first half, but they shot themselves out of so many rounds. On the other hand, Zyro was unbelievable in this final map, dude. He's so good. Zyro may not be my favorite player of all time, but I get it. I get it, dude. If you're a Zyro fan, I fucking understand you. Because, again, he does shit that nobody else can do. And there's never been another player who has been this elite at every aspect of the game. He's the best opper in the world. He's one of the best riflers in the world. He's one of the best pistol players in the world. He's one of the best clutchers in the world. He's one of the best entries in the world. There legitimately isn't a single thing at the aspect of Counter-Strike that Zyro does at below a prodigy level. We have never seen a more complete talent in the history of the game. He may not be my GOAT, but I sure as fuck understand why you guys have him as yours. So this is it. This is the end of the Reign Last Dance at EPL. Yeah, they have the 3rd place decider tomorrow, but no one really gives a fuck about that match. They could have made the grand finals. There is just a couple of mistakes between FaZe and making a legendary grand finals appearance. It would have been awesome to see, but they fell short in an absolutely amazing series against Vitality. Vitality, they earned this grand finals chance. They are the favorites to win tomorrow for a reason. We'll see how it goes, man. I'm impressed. Like, this was just an insanely entertaining day of Counter-Strike. And, yeah, that's it. I don't know what the future holds for FaZe, man. I don't know if they're going to look better or worse with Jacob. I think the discussion around Kerrigan is just frustrating to the point that I'm kind of tapping out of it because people were just entrenched in their opinions about it, myself included. But the Counter-Strike was good, and that's pretty much the best you can ask for. If you guys enjoyed this meandering rant of a video, make sure you show me by leaving a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. How many 10K subs by the end of the year? Also, thank you guys so much for the support on last night's stream. We gave away that Battlefield 6 Phantom Edition code. It was a good time. Make sure you follow me on Twitch at LionHeartZ. Got the Skins Monkey for sponsoring this video. Check the top link streams. You can trade on their website. Listen, I sent you their way. Thank you to my channel members: Justin, Jesse Furley, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, BWGs, Cody Foxworthy, JesseTiv, Vegt, I'm Flashback, Snowy White, Rowdy, LBKcs, Snax Enjoyer, Crunchyroll, Zero2CS, Chron, Gano, Devvrat Singh, Clyde Mead. If you want to become a channel member, use the link down below. 5 bucks to get any video just like this. Well as a customer on the community Discord. I'll see you guys later. Peace.